chatting. But before we get into this discussion, we want to give you an idea of the type of negative feedback people in the public spotlight deal with every day. Do you get negative feedback, Lisa? I was just about to say that I know you'll find it hard to believe, but actually we do get negative feedback.
Oh, no.
This is a little taste of it. 2 tryhards together does not make for watchable TV.
Well, I think you're a bit of a tryhard.
Your presenters are intolerable. Oh. Lisa Miller, although pleasant, is pedestrian.
No, you're not pedestrian. Oh, as is Michael Rowland. What's this? Here's my favourite. Barely watch news anymore. I used to watch ABC Breakfast, but I just can't stand Michael Rowland anymore. He is a twit, a real try-hard moron.
Anyway, that gives you a bit of a taste. Now, the reason we're bringing this to you, and we're sort of laughing, but actually, no, it does wear away at you, and people have talked about how do you try and deal with it. And this week, a UK study found that responding to trolls isn't the right way to deal with it. So what is? And joining us to discuss this is former road cyclist and women in sport advocate Bridie O'Donnell and writer and broadcaster Titus O'Reilly. And don't forget, you can join in the conversation, by the way. Talk to us on Facebook and YouTube, and we're going to deal with your comments as we're chatting. Titus, can I start with you, because you're here and you're closer to me. What do you do with trolls? Do you ignore? Do you block? What's your technique?
Well, first I want to apologise for sending those comments in earlier. But
I knew it was you.
Yeah, I didn't know I'd be called to the couch. But no, I don't respond. I have a blanket philosophy, you know, from on Twitter and Facebook and everything, is if someone's giving you legitimate criticism, I'm fine, I'll engage with that. But the rest of the time I just completely ignore. If someone continues, I'd eventually block them. But you usually, and this is for everyone, doesn't matter, if you're engaging, you're giving them a platform. So, and that's what they want. So you're doing what they want.
And you're spreading their sometimes dodgy views as well by buying into their sus arguments.
Well, in the past, before the online social media, every village had an idiot. And now they're all connected and they're all online. So you wouldn't, if you're walking down the street and someone starts yelling out something, you wouldn't stop and have a conversation with them. Yet online, people give them, because it's a printed word, they give them this validation and they think they need to respond.
And Bridie, it does tend to be women who cop it, and I'm sure you've probably copped it.
Absolutely, and particularly athletes, we see women athletes are 4 to 5 times more likely to get really awful criticism and objectifying criticism and abuse. I think social media brings out the best in people and the worst, and you're right, Titus, about that anonymity providing this sort of opportunity for someone to scream into the void, attack you for something. But it's also about, I wish I was famous and high profile. How come that person gets 1 million followers? I'm going to make them feel bad. It's completely irrational.
So how do you deal with it? I mean, what tactics do you employ to stay sane in this social media sewer that it is sometimes?
I don't engage at all, and I'm probably quicker to block and report. I block and report on behalf of other people too. You know, when I see that other women journalists or people on social media are being abused, I block and report those comments. I do see some people choosing that tactic of retweeting or screenshotting, and you're saying, see, this is the disgusting stuff I've got to put up with. I think that's helpful in a way, maybe to them, but I don't want my blood pressure and my cortisol elevated that much. I couldn't do it to myself.
Well, part of the problem, and this is what this UK study is talking about, is that they've used the example of a British MP who has 500,000 followers, and when he retweeted and said just that, look at this disgusting thing, that person he was retweeting, the disgusting thing, got an extra 14% followers.
Yep.
So it's actually,
you know,
so now this is why these celebrities have got together to say, actually, this is the technique to use. Just block.
Yeah,
don't
make them
engage
invisible.
at all.
Yep. Your comments coming in. Mary says, I grew up with post-extremist crap on Facebook. In time, realised no one was liking or commenting when this was posting post-extremist nonsense, and this troll has now given up. David says they are great fun and usually tie themselves up in knots when I welcome them and thank them for coming. The ones that swear and or have violent comments, I simply block.
For all the blocking, though, I mean, it just seems that new ones emerge.
Well, this is where I think, you know, Twitter is the biggest problem of this, but Facebook too, where there is just no doubt they've not police this properly, and they pretend that it's impossible, but yet they can roll out advertising algorithms in 2 minutes when they want to, if it's against their financial interests. So there's really a duty of care that these social media giants have abdicated for a long time. And I think there is many ways they could do the extreme thing, especially where you ask any woman on Twitter the amount of direct messages or abuse they directly get, and they will report that and it will almost never be dealt with, yet other small things where, you know, a bloke complains about he didn't like something being said about his character, and they'll ban the person straight away. So it's a terrible situation.
You make a very good point there, Titus, about the social media giants not stepping up to the plate as they should. Do you agree on that front, Friday?
Yeah, and it's quite some time ago that the whole Gamergate episode happened, where women who were working in code had tried to modify the way video games were portraying women, and the internet world piled on. They were voxed, you know, that their personal details were distributed, that where they lived. This woman had to move house, her and her husband and children, their lives were threatened, a very high-profile coder. So that's not new stuff that's been happening, and certainly what we saw with Taylor Harris in response to that infamous kick, the objectification, bullying and really horrible sexist derogatory comments were just vile.
Yeah. But if we had not seen that, would we then not have seen, especially with Taylor, the wonderful surging support and the fact there's now a statue of her?
That's sort of the Bernie Sanders argument about, or Susan Sarandon argument about, isn't it good that we got Trump because now people are rallying against him. So I think that Taylor and any other female athlete would say I'd probably rather not have the swell of response into what she had to endure. But you're absolutely right. You know, the community did rally, and the world spoke back to particularly probably an under-resourced AFL7 media ops team that didn't know how to respond to that situation.
This is the thing you've got to understand online. A lot of people take the criticism on board, and it's hard not to when it's directed at you. But half the people behind this are like, you know, 15-year-old boys, you know, or people who are just, you know, there are old men too doing it and stuff. But, you know, these aren't winners in life. Yeah. But we can't help but take it on. But really, I think the excuse used by the social media organisations is they don't want to stop free speech or political speech. But surely on the sexual harassment and threats of sexual assault, we can all agree that that is not an ideology. That can be stopped.
And Titus, I just wanted to end this segment, thank you very much, both of you, with a tweet that's come in that says, I love Michael Rowland's blue suit and I love him Monday through to Friday. Please stay Michael Rowland. OK, I made that up, sorry.
OK, what's the real... Read it out, go on. No.
No, there wasn't a real one.
Michael Rowland, what a tosser you are. Get that blue suit off.
Oh, I just didn't want your feelings. Go on, give it to me. It's Friday. I wanted you to feel OK.
Thank you so much for
Thanks, guys, for coming in. Well, as you've seen throughout the